everyone. Welcome to Tales from the Casino Pit. This is a podcast about stories in the casino industry. And now, here are your hosts, Jay, John, and Mike.
Hey, everybody. First thing I have to apologize, my Wi-Fi is really bad again, so I can't show. So thank you for joining us today. I'm really looking forward to today, actually. We're going to be chatting to a really long-time friend of mine that I've known for over 20-odd years. He's the only person I know that's worked in Lethbridge, Calgary, and Edmonton in the casinos, and he worked on ships too. So I'm really looking forward to share stories with him. I haven't spoke to him for a while, and he agreed to come on. So I'm really looking forward to speaking to Trevor Nevra, and of course, always Danny.
Hey, good timing.
My whole browser just shut down.
It's okay.
Oh, I know, it's crazy.
Okay, wait. Let's introduce Trevor again. Hold on. Introducing Trevor.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Thanks a lot, Trev. I mean, I was really looking forward to chatting to you because we go way back, and we worked together on ships. I think we worked together on. Do you ever work at the same casino together at the same time in Edmonton? I don't think so.
Not on land, no. No.
Yeah, that's right. So, okay, Trev. For those who are watching, which is two, who can you tell us a bit about you and how you got into casinos and how you were doing it?
Oh, dude, that's a long time ago. In 88 and 89, I was gambling in the casino, and working in retail and gambling in the casino. And then when I decided to turn 18, I decided to take the course. So I took the course at in 1989, and then when I turned 18, I passed the course and started working about a week after my birthday. And then we went from dealing blackjack and roulette and all those fun things, and did that for about 6 years, and then went on the cruise ships for a few, and then came back. And when I came back, we started out in Lethbridge, but of course they didn't have craps, so I didn't like it because we learned craps in the ships, and I was like wanting to deal craps, so I had to move. So I went up to Calgary and first Edmonton, and then I got to Edmonton, and the old dog there, good old Jimmy Wolf, was there, and he didn't like the fact that I dealt craps and didn't get taught by him. So I decided I'd work for just about a year up there, and when I was living with you and my other buddy, and then I took a position in Calgary as a boxman there, and then did that for 3 years, and then retired. And now I'm working for a chemical company.
Cool. So just a bit of a hindsight. So when I went to work on ships in Royal Caribbean anyway. So I joined in 1996, and I joined a ship called a Legend. It was doing 10, 11-day cruises through the Panama Canal, right? So, and I stayed and I had the same cabin for pretty much my whole contract. Once the contract ended, I went home for 6 weeks and then joined the Splendor of the Seas, which is the sister ship. And when I joined it, I think I've told you before, I ended up going into the same cabin and having the same bed, like the top bunk, as my previous one. So everything had changed, except all the people had changed, except the ship was exactly the same, and it was a surrealist thing. And Trevor was my roommate.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we moved in, and we were roommates, and it was really cool. And a few months later, I think, maybe 2 months later, Rhonda came on, who wasn't, she was my girlfriend at the time, then later became my wife. She came on and we moved together, into our own cabin. But yeah, so Trevor and I originally shared cabins. So we had lots of drinks. So I just want to show one thing. Remember that picture you showed?
Yeah.
I still got the hat.
Nice.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, look at that, eh? That's
So
crazy.
to be honest, that hat tells a story because I bought that hat in 1991 in Australia, and there was I bought it when we were there, and it was Christmas Day when I bought it. Well, just before Christmas Day, and it was 35 degrees. And Rhonda was there too. It was actually just after we got off the Splendor. So Rhonda and I went to Australia for Christmas. It was 35 degrees above, like hot. And we phoned back to Edmonton, and it was minus 35. And both of us were complaining about the temperature. It was like, and I hadn't met my future in-laws yet. And I was like, hey, I'm going to take your daughter to Vegas to get married by Elvis. And all he kept saying was, put Rhonda on the phone. Put Rhonda on the phone, because I was drunk by the time difference. I was drunk. I was like, I gotta do something. So, yeah, this hat has got a lot of stories to tell.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's so cool. Sorry, John. I just wanted to ask Trevor, what was some of your favorite places that you were traveling to when you were working on the ships?
I liked, when I was just before John got on, because John got on the Splendor, so you didn't get on until after the transatlantic, right? Was that it, or was it before?
Yeah, I joined in Barcelona.
Right, in Barcelona, yeah. So we did the 7-day cruise out of San Juan, and we did San Juan, Cozumel, Aruba, Curacao, St. Martin, and St. Thomas, I believe. And I mean, out of all the places, I ended up spending dry dock in Cozumel at one time, one of my dry docks. I think Cozumel and Aruba. I haven't been back to Aruba since the Splendor, but I thought Aruba was one of the insane places. It was so crazy. And of course, I think being my first ship and all, there was those kind of hit home with me because, and San Juan, Puerto Rico, what a great to port out of, because we went for a punt every day. We'd land, wake up, we'd be on land, we go get our match plays, we'd run to the 6 different casinos in town and try and make $100 by debarkation, and run back to the ship and get going again, grab a lunch, and it was good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed being in Europe, like going to those different ports in Europe, because we would reposition all the time. So we did like Scandinavia, and then we did like kind of like Northern Europe, and then we did around, like the Mediterranean. It was so cool seeing all those different places, because previously I'd always spent like, on a, time in the Caribbean, and it was always like the same places all the time. But going to Europe was amazing.
Well, and so when we were in Europe, that was another port. I laughed because at the time when I was on cruise ships, I was 25. I was 25 years old or 24 years old, and we were in when we cruised Europe, and we went to Russia, and I just thought, this is the weirdest thing in the world, man. I come from Canada, and it's supposed to be the land of freedom in North America, and here I'm sitting in Russia going. Because my background, I worked in bars. I've been in the service industry for many, many, many years. So here I'm going to Russia, and they're going, you can drink, yeah. Close the bar when you guys are done. And I was like, oh, so you mean we can just drink until we leave? Yeah, pretty much. As long as you guys are here drinking, we'll stay open. I was like, wow, we have so much freedom in Canada. Everybody tells us we got to go home at like 2:00, right? And hey, you want to smoke in the bar? Sure. And hey, you want, a carton of cigarettes, $2, a bottle of vodka, free. For the good stuff. The stuff, the bad vodka is like $2, but that good vodka is $3.
Oh my God.
Do you remember when we went to those Russian markets, and you could buy all like the like all that kind of like the military gear, and people bought like literally like military like infrared goggles and stuff like that. I was bored and I just bought like the Russian hat. I got a thing about hats apparently, so I bought like a Red Army hat, and then I bought some like Russian dolls and some Russian hockey shirt.
Yeah, nesting doll. I got one of the red enamel stars, military stars. That was kind of cool. Like and I remember your first week when the first week we went to Russia, and you and Rhonda lost your passports.
Oh God! Yeah, in that bar, they were going to. So the story was, so it was Rhonda's birthday. We left. We went out. All of us went off. Most of the people from the casino anyway. So we went out. We went to the bar. I think it was the Irish bar, and then we went for a curry afterwards. Then we went to gamble, and then we were all gambling in St. Petersburg. And then we went to a club, and this club was such a rip-off. They wouldn't take dollars at the bar. You had to go and exchange them and get ripped off, and then go to the bar and pay in rubles. So you're like drunk, you no idea what to do. And Rhonda gave me up. At the time, we had to sign off, so we had to take up, like our passports and everything else, ID, into this like bum bag. Well, I put it into a bum bag. Rhonda kept all of it because she was more responsible. And remember, we used to have to jump in like a Russian army guy who would take us from the ship to the edge of the port. Then we'd have to get out, and we'd pay him. Then we'd have to get out, get a taxi, and he would take us to wherever we wanted to go. Yeah. And I remember when we came back, when we were in that club, this girl was just super drunk, like amazingly drunk. And Rhonda and I took her home, and I left the bum bag on the floor with everything in it, all our ID and all everything. And when we got back to the ship, the immigration were there, and they're like, "Oh, you have no proof of being." And me and Rhonda were really, really drunk, and it was like 4 a.m. So like 5 a.m, and we were really, really drunk. And we're like, "Oh, let's just go back." And they're like, "Nope, you can't get off. You got no proof." And so they ended up like sending Rhonda and I back to our cabin and said, "Oh, we'll sort this out." And they said, "Oh, come back in like an hour and a half or something it was." So we went back, fell asleep. The staff captain came and got us. So we went back upstairs. And, we'd fallen asleep. And, I had all like bed head on, and Rhonda's hair was a mess. And one eye was kind of like glued together with all the makeup. We had to get new crew passes taken with those photos. It looked like a mugshot. It was terrible. And then they told us like they were going to fine the ship $100,000 each for us not having proof of being like illegal immigrants. And then they ended up bribing these officials. I think it was like 3 bottles of Canadian Club. And they were like, "Okay, don't do it." So then they told us if we had been like fined, they would have fired us and sent us home like that day. But because they didn't, we just had to go and get a new passport in Copenhagen. So the next day was a sea day. And what they did is they phoned up to the Canadian and the British embassy and said, "Oh, like they're coming in." So when we went in, Rhonda went to the Canadian embassy, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, we know all about it. Give us your pictures, come back in an hour, and we'll give you a passport." So the Canadians were amazing. The British ones, they went, "Okay, it sounds good. Where's your police report?" I was like, they wouldn't let me off the ship. They said, "Well, go and report it stolen now." I was like, "Well, I'm not even in the same country." They're like, "Well, go to the police station now and report it." I was like, "Oh my God." Because they were like, "Oh, we can't do anything until we get a police report." So I went to this Copenhagen station, and I lined up, and I started talking to the guy, and he was like, "So where was it stolen?" I said, "Oh, it's in this nightclub in St. Petersburg, Russia." And he was like, "What? How did you get here?" I was like, "You see that big ship over there? I'm working on that." And they're like, "Okay." And I said, "The British embassy, they won't give me a new one until I get a police report." And he obviously dealt with them before, because he was like, "Oh, them, okay." And he just stamped in and said, "Okay," and gave me this thing. So I went back, and it took all day for them to give me a passport. And when they eventually did, they turned around and they went, "Oh." So I picked up the passport after like literally 8 hours. And the woman's like, "Oh, the ambassador's going to St. Petersburg next week. Do you have any tips?" I was like, "Yeah. Don't go to that sketchy nightclub on Nevsky Prospekt. They steal stuff." Yeah, man. It was so crazy. So much fun.
Well, you remember Trigger? The slot pick?
Yeah.
I don't remember his real name, but this guy, we called him Trigger because of Only Fools and Horses. And we had Del Boy and Trigger, and we're in this Russian bar, and it had a fashion show in the bar, and so all these women were walking in lingerie or whatever in the bar during the night, And so we're all sitting there. And one of the things they did is they dropped balloons and they dropped money, copious amounts of money. And it's funny because we're sitting in Russia and they dropped all these 100-ruble bills. And they're all over the floor. So we get in the bar, we go up to the bar, and me and Trigger are up at the bar, and he goes, holy shit. He goes, look at all the money on the floor. And he goes to bend down to pick it up, and I grab him by the shoulder, and I pick him back up, and I said, dude, we're in Russia. If the Russians aren't picking up the money, you shouldn't. Because it's like worth a half a cent a bill, right? So you'd have to collect every bill in the whole bar to buy himself a drink.
Oh my goodness. That is hilarious. Sorry, before we go on, just a couple comments here. Hey, yup.
Joey, how's it going, buddy?
So Joey says, just popped in to say hi on my way to bed. I'll be back watching tomorrow morning with my breakfast. That's how you do it. Life alert.
Oh,
is alive.
Tom's alive. Awesome.
Hooray. He's mentioning Russian CDs and DVDs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
1,000 for $1.
Oh, yeah. And it was like the more you buy, the cheaper they got. I remember one time, I can't remember who bought one, but they bought a CD and it was obviously, they're all rip-off CDs, but they took it back and there was no music on it. It was just these Russian guys talking. It was like, but you're paying like $1.50. So he's like, yeah, who cares? Whatever. I'll come back next time.
One more. Nicholas says, John, your stories are
Funny.
Emoji.
Thanks, Nick.
So, Trevor, did you prefer working on land or on the ships?
You know, I would never give up my opportunity to work on the cruise ships. You know, it was a different time and a different place back when I did it because, you know, we're talking mid-90s. And it's a little bit different now, but man, you couldn't get back the life experience we had when we were on those things. And I mean, there were some crazy things that we did, but yeah, I mean, we had a good time. But I would say if I came back and I worked, so I've been in the casino industry for 15 years before I got out of it, and I did enjoy working in the land, but you know, the difference of being around the different parts of the world and you know, every contract you're meeting, you know, a new, you know, 12 to 15 family members, because whenever you got on a cruise ship, you know, especially dealers, I mean, you know, we had shoppies and dealers and the entertainment staff that you were always welcomed with open arms. I mean, you know, you'd sign on a ship and literally somebody would meet you, show you to your cabin, get you set up and say, let's go to the crew bar. And you'd go to the crew bar, you'd meet everybody in one night, and then you'd be friends forever. Like, you know, like
I'm sure the bond is much better.
What's that?
I'm sure the bond is much better between, like, because it's such tight knit group.
Well, yeah, because you're in such confined quarters, so you really do meet a lot of cool people, and you're in the same boat with everybody, right? So everybody understands everything. I mean, I always laughed when you know, I don't know if John did this, but I remember the first couple of years after being back from ships, and everybody you run into goes, hey, where have you been for the last few years? You'd be like, oh, I was on cruise ships. Oh, really? That must have been cool. Yeah. And they'd be like, you know, where did you go? And you'd start telling them stories. They just start glossy eyed. Look, I mean, they just couldn't comprehend it. Like a lot of my friends, when I came back, I mean, their idea of traveling was, well, we went to Calgary or we went to Edmonton. You know, like, oh, you were in Russia and Denmark and Copenhagen. And you went to, Honensvag up to past the Arctic Circle. The sun doesn't set. You tell these people all these things, and they're going, "Oh yeah, cool. Maybe someday." But yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, I made good bonds in the casinos that I worked in on land too. But I would say that definitely the ones that on the ships were probably pretty strong. And it was cool. I mean, being in a different port every day always was a nice thing, right?
I remember when Trevor and I was, excuse me, when we shared a cabin on the Splendor, Trevor's mum, who's a sweetheart, she wanted him to send him her postcards. So she printed out these sticky self-addressed labels for she said, whenever port you go to, send me these postcards. So when I was there, and like on the ships at the time, there wasn't any internet, so mail was kind of a big thing. And he used to buy these postcards, stick the stamp, this address, sticky label of the name and address, put a stamp on it, and then just mail it. He wouldn't write anything on it. I was like, what? And he's like, oh yeah, my mum just wants to see where I am. So, or where I've been. So we send them up. And then, because sometimes you go in quite a few, days between ports, so they'd stack up, right? So then we always used to have cabin parties at our party. So then I started writing stories on these postcards and just making them up. And it was just like, oh, today, at one point, Trevor had married this 45-year-old woman who had 2 kids, and I'd smuggled them into the cabin, and they were living in the cabin, kids and all. So, and then every postcard, we just add into it. And we just get drunk and we just fill it in. And then he was like, that's all good. My mum likes it. And they would post them off. It was so much fun.
I remember that. Yeah, that's funny. Oh, man. I should go look for some of those postcards. I bet you they're kicking around somewhere.
Yeah, and that when I came down to to Lethbridge to meet you one time, you introduced me to your mum as the guy that wrote the postcards.
Yeah. No, I remember that. I was right back when we got back, eh? Oh, that's fun. Well, remember, I had pictures. I wished I would have had pictures of that, John. Remember, I remember we used to have to wedge up the cabin steward when we were on that trip, because back then both John and I smoked copious amounts of cigarettes, and we'd have this little 2-berth cabin, and everybody would come to our cabin, and we'd have 10 people in there, and we'd be sitting there, 10 inside the cabin, all sitting on the bed, a couple chairs, and then you'd have 3 or 4 people talking outside the cabin, and we'd wake up in the morning after a couple drinks, maybe 1 or 2, and we took pictures and there would be literally around the entire cabin, all you would see is beer bottle, and these makeshift ashtrays, and we'd have probably like a carton of cigarettes, and that would be every time we had drinks at our place. That's what our cabin would look like, and you'd be like, oh, throw $10 on the pillow. Next thing you come back from work, cleaned up, we do it again.
Yeah, I think we probably were the favorite cabin, but because we'd always have parties, then we'd be so guilty because they'd be trashed. Then we're like, man, we need to give him more money. I feel guilty. So, and they would always like, oh, no problem. I'm sure they didn't want to give us up they were like a meal ticket. Me and you were the meal ticket.
Oh yeah, man, holy cow! I just remember, so many. I could, yeah, it's what a crazy time. And remember, that was probably one of the reasons why I got off ships. I really like to cook. I like to make food. I couldn't make food on the cruise ship. You couldn't do any of that. So here I am. I had a pocket sandwich maker, and I had a hot pot. So I used to make, soups and stews and I'd make sandwiches, and everybody would come to our cabin and be like, oh, hey mate, I got a can of beans and 2 slices of bread. Can you toast me up a bean and toast sandwich? Oh yeah, it's funny. It was a standard thing though, because when I got to the Empress, we did the same thing. Remember Kevin O'Donnell?
Oh yeah.
Big Kev. We had a 3-berth cabin on the Nordic Empress, and it was a shit show all the time.
Once on the Legend, I think it was the Legend. Yeah, on the Legend one time, my cabin was the party cabin on there too. My first ship, we had the drug dogs come on. They came on and they got us all to they woke us all up, and we're all stood outside the cabin, and I literally had about 9 minutes sleep, and I was stood outside the cabin and my eyes are bloodshot and burning. I'm like, oh man, what's going on? And the dog's running in to smell all these different things, and literally he went whoop, and he bolted out of our cabin because it was that nasty. Like it was before the room steward had come in and like we made it like a bit habitable. But oh my god, yeah, I remember that drug dog couldn't get out of that room fast enough.
I don't know how we did it because I mean those cabins were so small, and we smoked so much in them. We must have went to work the next day, and cigarettes must have just permeated our bodies.
Yeah, I think we survived on cigarettes, alcohol, and coffee. That was pretty much it because the food was so bad. We're like, just have a coffee to stay awake. And the thing is, I used to lose so much weight over that 6-month contract. So by the time I got up, you mean at the end, you're like, oh my God, can't wait to get home. I can have real food. You'd be talking about food. It was weird.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, you always learn how to get your food too. When you go to the mess hall and you'd be like, oh, not that again. You like go to the cafe steward. You'd be like, hey, what do we got on the menu tonight? And you'd be like, I can get you this. And you're like, sweet. Give him a couple of bucks and he's bringing you like, a steak and lobster and stuff, right?
That's awesome.
I remember the one guy used to bring me escargot. I'd get like 3 orders of escargot every escargot night. Oh man!
Do you have any embarrassing stories about John?
Well, I can tell you one. Not so bad. John used to. So he'd be sleeping on the top bunk, and we did partake a little bit in a few beverages. When John sleeps, sometimes his eyes stay open. And you'd be like, oh, no, he's sleeping.
That's classic.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. What else do we do? Oh, man. Yeah. There's probably lots. I probably forgot more than I can remember. That's how bad it is.
Lots of drinking. Do that.
And that's probably why I don't remember it.
The first ship I ever worked on, I got fined $25, got a ship's written warning when they found me asleep on my cabin floor with my eyes open. They thought I was dead. It might as well, they kind of got scared. But yeah, so that was kind of a weird story. So, Trevor, do you remember? I taught you crap. Well, I say I taught you craps. I taught you kind of like the procedures, whatever, because you pretty much knew the game and the payouts anyway. So I
was watching the show when you were talking about that, and I was like, yeah, pretty much. Well, it's pretty funny. I thought it was a funny story. So, back in the day when, I worked with, so before I went and worked on the cruise ships, we used to do the circuit too, Klondike Days, Stampede. So I got to work with a lot of people, different casinos back then when I was, first starting out, the first 5 years of my career. And, I won't toot my own horn, but I was a pretty good dealer before I got on the cruise ships. My table test for Royal Caribbean was a shit show. It was the funniest thing ever. I walked onto, I think it was the Rhapsody of the Seas or something like that. I walked up and I dealt 2 hands of blackjack. That was my table test. The first one I pulled the blackjack. The second one I pulled the 21. They said you're hired. And that was it. I was like, oh, that was easy. Hardest one ever. And then went over to the roulette table and it was like, spin the ball. They'd have all their chips out there. Spin the ball. Hit the only number that hadn't had any chips on it. It'd be like, sweep. But spin it. They'd set them all up again. They spin it, and then I'd hit another number with nothing on it, and they'd be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Put the marker on one of the numbers that had some chips on it because I was just laughing because I was like, there, sweep. They go, oh no, figure these payouts out. Oh, okay, fine. I figured a few payouts out. They're like, hey, you're good, you're good. So I get on the cruise ship and on the Splendor and John. So I've been on there for 3 months, pretty much, 2 to 3 months. And they decided they're going to do a craps class. They're going to train a few of these few dealers up from Canada and and other places. So I was like, here I am, and I'm like, and I didn't get along with the casino manager when I first got on there. She was a Canadian casino manager, and I don't know why, but we didn't get along very well. I don't know. She's just maybe because I was Canadian. She's Canadian. She figured she should pick on me, I guess. But we went and got up to the the new casino manager there, and she kind of left a little bit of a bad taste in his mouth for me. Told him that I wasn't any good or whatever. So I was like, whatever. So I went and said, I put my name in. I was like, hey, I want to learn how to deal craps. And they're like, yeah, no, we're going to take these for him. I'm like, but she doesn't even want to, and he really doesn't care, but you're going to take two that don't really want to deal craps, and you're going to train them. And you got two others that are okay. And then me, I want to learn, but you don't want to teach me. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll wait till next time. And then John being my roommate, I'm like, John, would you teach me? He's like, sure. I said, okay. So I told the manager, I said, well, if I can get somebody else to teach me, will you table test me? And they said, sure. And so they'd been the class had been on for about 5 days. We took one day in Barcelona or someplace like that. And John and I got up to the table. We worked on it for about one day for about 2 to 3 hours, worked on it the next day for about another 2 to 3 hours, practiced some drills. And then within 48 hours, they said, well, you might as well go on the table tonight. And I was like, okay. Never looked back. I was on the table ever since. So my whole 6 hours or 8 hours of craps training, and I was done. I was like, and these guys have been studying for like probably 2-3 weeks before John even did it. And they were on the table already, but I was at the same point as they were at 48 hours.
Yeah, I think that was the fastest I've ever seen anyone learn craps. It was so cool.
And that was, so going back to so I came back from the cruise ships. I worked in Lethbridge for, I don't even know if it was even a year at the time. I left Lethbridge and I went to Casino Argyle. I'm sure you guys know where that is. And so I got up there and I got to hang out with Jimmy Wolf. And my whole goal was to go up there and learn, like, just to deal craps, right? Because I'm back in Canada. If I'm going to do anything, that's what I want to do, because that's the game that has the most fun to me anyway. So I get up there and I said right away, I mean, I knew Jimmy for years and years and years. I remember Jimmy when we used to have 2 arrows that made the dice table, So I said, I was like, hey, Jimmy, I deal craps. Can I get on the table? Can I get on the table? And they were putting a course through. And I said, well, if you won't let me go on the game, can I go in your course? And that way you can teach me. And then I will, I'll do whatever I have to do to get on the game. Right. And so he doesn't let me go on the course again. And he's like, and he won't table test me. I couldn't get him to get me a table test just to let me go on this game. He's like, nope, we don't need anybody right now. Okay. I'm like, all right, well, whatever. So all of a sudden I'm going in the back and they're, so, you do your course, but then they got the craps table back there, and all the craps kids that want to learn, they're all sitting there back there just practicing. So here comes me, and I'm like, let's play. Okay, so we start playing. I'm like, well, you want to do some speed drills? What are speed drills? Well, let's play. Next thing I know, I'm showing them all these breaking chips, fanning chips, and play some 6 and 8. I'm doing all these crazy things, and I'm doing moves. All of a sudden, one of the kids starts doing a couple of those speed drills and some of the shortcut moves that I was doing on the table, and he's like, "What did you?" Jimmy's like, "Where'd you learn that?" Trevor's teaching me. That didn't go over very well either. So all these kids kind of went to my defense, because it's funny, because it's like they're going, "Yeah, Trevor, I did the speed drill. It's so cool, and this and this and this." And I think Jimmy finally got to the point where he kind of realized it. Okay, because I wasn't going to stop playing and teach them, and so we had to. So eventually, I got to get on the game pretty regularly. And then I took a position in Calgary right away. Went to be a boxman there instead. So it was, but it was fun. It was a good time.
We have a co-host waiting backstage. Mikey is ready to join in our conversation. Mikey.
Hi, everybody.
Mikey, how's it going?
Good. How are you? Trevor, nice to see you. Glad
Nice
you
to
can
see you,
come
Mike.
on.
There we go.
So, Mikey, where you been?
Hi. Sorry, yeah, I had to do a couple things. I was a little late. But I'm here now. Let's go.
Are you
That's
rested?
awesome.
Well rested now? Had a good little nap?
Rested is not the right word, but
So yeah, go ahead, John.
No, go. I've been talking a lot, so Jay, you go.
Well, there's a big ABS connection here because Trevor is talking about Argyle and whatnot, and working with Jimmy Wolf, and Mike and I we got to work there after that era. So we were both games managers at the end there, around 2015 and on. And
Oh, wow.
I don't know, yeah. Where in Alberta were you working, Trevor? Like, which casinos, like in Calgary? And
Always for ABS.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I worked for ABS, all three casinos. So Casino Calgary, Casino Lethbridge, and Casino Argyle. So I worked for them. And I mean, I learned with ABS back when I was young, it was funny because, we worked with a lot of people. So it was a good time.
No, that's where I work now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I worked out you're probably too young to even know, but I mean, when I worked there, I was, Neil Hironaka was the general manager.
Not anymore.
Neil.
Well, he got punted when Pure Casino took him over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, Neil and I used to deal together back in Lethbridge, back in the day. So it was like a long time ago. And Mike, my buddy Don says hi.
Don.
Chung.
Oh, really? How's it going?
Yeah, I told him I was coming on a podcast with Mike and Jay Lee because, and he knows you too, of course, Jay Lee. So,
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah, I mean, I worked with your brother back in the day too. I used to work downtown. Before I moved to Edmonton, I actually worked downtown as well for a little while before they opened Baccarat, but basically, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome.
It's a small world, and honestly, I don't know because I joined late. Have you gotten to some of the pictures that Trevor sent there?
No, we haven't done any of those yet.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll wait and everything. But it's a really small casino world, and I just it's amazing.
So true. I mean, I was laughing because when John asked me to come on here, I was like, well, I better go look and see what you guys do on this show. So I watched the one with Nikki Starr and Nicolette, and I'm like, holy cow. Because that's back memories. I worked with Nikki Starr back in the day, like so long ago. Barry Pritchard and like so many different people. I don't know. You guys probably never worked with Barry Pritchard, but I mean, he was Mr. KFC, right? I mean, he always wore a little bow tie, always a white suit.
Yeah, no, I've met him. Yeah.
Yeah. He's a good. Is Barry still alive? I'm not even sure.
I'm not sure.
Like I saw Nikki the other day, and I was like, I wished I would have been able to be on that live cast. I would have asked. That would have been interesting. But I laughed. So I went and worked when I was working downtown. So Nikki kind of touched base, like in the old days, it used to be casinos, right, where you'd work. You needed a charity to have a casino. So sometimes we get dry spells where cash casino would be in Lethbridge. We'd go 4 or 5 weeks before we get another casino, or maybe 3 weeks. So, you're sitting there going, now what do I do? So we used to travel up to Edmonton and get some hours up there. So we drive up there. And this is before there wasn't a Casino Calgary at the time either. There was only Casino Lethbridge and Casino Edmonton. There was downtown and Argyle was the only two casinos there. And so I remember Barry would come down to Lethbridge when we had a run of casinos, and then when we finished, we'd already planned that we were going to go back. I remember the one time me and another guy had to drive Barry back in his car because he got a DUI and he wasn't able to drive anymore. So around, we drove Barry Pritchard up Lethbridge to Edmonton, and then we got to go work for a little while. Then we drive back to Lethbridge. Oh, man. Fun times.
Those are great stories.
Sorry, guys. So I guess we're having some issues with the post for Casino Industry Canada. So it's just saying we're having trouble streaming. There's a bug that can cause this issue for some users. So we'll probably just add the link after if people aren't getting on there. So everyone on the YouTube channel, hello. And just one quick comment before we continue. Hi, Sherry. Nice to see you. It sounds like such a good time on the ships. You must miss it.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember probably when I quit in 1999 because I don't know why. It just was one of those times where it was like, and it worked out well because in 9/11 happened and all of a sudden the whole industry changed down there. So I mean, it bounced back, but I mean, it changed enough that it was like, you went from, we used to, when John and I, like, when we talk about being in Europe, it was great because a lot of places you couldn't work when you were in port, and we would have a lot of overnights. So the casino industry is like one of the best places because shoppies and, massage therapists and entertainers, they all had to do stuff when they were in port. Casino was shut down. We got to go, right? So we got to go everywhere we wanted. So, anyway, so when I left, 9/11 happened. And so, I mean, it was kind of nice. It was a kind of a blessing in disguise. But I always said, before I wished I would have done, I think I needed one more contract. I did 4. I think one more would have been the icing on the cake, but I had a good time. It was a fun time. I did some crazy things. I broke my arm in Nassau on my third contract, I think it was. Might have been my third. We were in Nassau, and I was riding a pedal bike down in Nassau, just a 10-speed or whatever, and some guy cut me off, and I went over the handlebars, and I remember getting back to the ship, and they're like, "What?" The guy actually that cut me off actually threw me in the back of his truck, thank God, because I couldn't ride the bike anymore because my arm was, I fractured my elbow, so they send me down, they get me back to the ship, and I take this half-mangled bike and my half-mangled shirt and my arm in a sling kind of thing, and I get up to the gangplank, and they're like, "What happened to you?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got an accident." He's like, "Oh, man." So I get on the boat, and I go see the doctor, and he's like, "Yeah, you got a little bit of a fracture there. We'll figure it out." So I went up to the casino manager right away, and I'm like, "Hey, I hurt my arm, but I don't want to get off." I didn't know I was going to get off at the time. I was like, "But don't worry. Make me a suit. I'll be a suit for a couple of weeks. I'll be good as new, right? Or I'll deal roulette, man. I can deal roulette one-handed. We can spin the ball. We're good to go, right? No big deal." And so they go, "Just go to your cabin for tonight, and we'll figure it out tomorrow." So I went down to my cabin. The doctor gave me some great pills. I mean, I was sleeping, sitting up. It was great. Yeah, just like gone. And so that was good. And then I think it was 2 days we got to port, and they said, "Yeah, we're gonna sign you off in Hialeah in Miami." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "But I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Do I take all my shit, or do I leave it?" So I didn't know. So I actually left my stuff there, and I didn't realize it, but I'm actually supposed to check off the ship. I should have taken all my stuff. And they said, basically supposed to take all your stuff, sign off, and then you may not go back to that ship, but since I left all my stuff there, they had to let me go back. And I didn't want, how it is in casinos. I didn't want to stitch anybody up. Like, I didn't want them to have to work harder for me, but they ended up being a guy down for like 4 weeks before I could come back. But I mean, I had a great time. I mean, I was in, except they put you in Hialeah, and it's like the industrial area of Miami. So it's not like you can't sit on South Beach, of course, right? Like, why would they want to put somewhere nice? No, like Hialeah. It's like. So I met a guy from Trinidad, and we just kind of hung out. We would go for dinner, go to a movie, go to a place called Treasure Island and have some beers. you know. So that was what we did for like 4 weeks. So, you know, I worked. It was just before Christmas time. I think I got 5 or 6 weeks in. And so this contract, I was in 2 days a week in Miami because we're doing 3 and 4 day cruises out of Miami to Nassau. And I just wanted to save enough money up because I thought I'm going to buy a used motorbike in Miami because I'm going to keep doing a couple more contracts. I'm like, I'm going to get a used motorbike in Miami. I'm going to park at the port and then I can have wheels anytime I can go somewhere. So here I am. I'm riding a pedal bike, wreck my arm, get kicked off. I got, I almost had enough wedge to buy the motorbike, and then I'm on holidays for 4 weeks after 5 weeks of working on a cruise ship. So guess what? I just partied like a rock star.
Forced holidays in Miami. Okay, I'll take that.
So I mean, what do you do, right? I mean, so I was like, well, I guess I ended up getting back on that same ship, which is great because then I didn't have to, pack all my crap up and just throw my shit on. So that was good. And then I ended up, I think I did a 1 month extension because I mean, obviously I didn't have this full time on there. So I did a 1 month extension, finished that contract, and I never did buy the motorbike down there, unfortunately, but it was good. It was fun.
What's so funny is that we talk, like out of everybody we've talked to, I don't ever hear any stories on the ships about like the actually dealing. We all talk about just like the food, like the laughs that you guys have, and like the cabins, like
Yeah.
Like what are the hours that you guys work? Like I don't even know, and I think we've
All of
talked
them.
about cruise ships for hours.
So I'm sure everybody can admit we love sea days. Sea days are awesome on cruise ships. You got to get up first thing in the morning, open the casino, and work with very little breaks for the first 6 hours. Because nobody wanted, they'd run a skeleton crew, and then you'd get anywhere from a 2 to 4 hour dinner break, because the rest of the crew would come in for the short shift. So you either had a long shift or a short shift on a sea day. You'd either come in the morning and then get a 4 hour break and then do the rest of the night till 2 in the morning, or you'd come in at 4 or 2, probably at 2, I guess, and you work from 2 till 2 in the morning, right? So I can't remember exactly hours where it was, but yeah. So you always had either had a dinner break or you didn't.
Okay.
And then
I remember when. Sorry, Trev. Go ahead.
I said, and then when you came back from, if you did the day shift, when you came back to the casino, that's when the second shift got their dinner break for a couple, maybe an hour or so. They'd go for dinner, hit the mess tent, and then or the cafeteria, and then come back after that, and then we'd all be working until the end of the night.
You've never, when we were doing Europe, there was we used to go to Denmark. We'd have it overnight. Was it Tivoli, right? Go overnight in Denmark, and we'd have to go through this canal. And there were times where the canal wasn't enough water in it, so we couldn't go through. So we'd have to go around, and so that overnight became a sea day. You've never seen more pissed off casino staff who turned an overnight in Denmark to a sea day. It was just like nobody was happy. It was like, I hate this job.
Yeah. We used to have some great ones though, man. Copenhagen, we'd go hit Tivoli, but and one of the great things is that right at the port in Copenhagen, you get off and there'd be a guy that was selling these Danish hot dogs, and they have them in Canada. You can get them now, but basically you have a hot dog with a bun with a stick. It's shoved in the middle of it, and then you pull it out and you put the hot dog in it, and they fill it full of mustard and stuff, and then you go to go, right?
Yeah, I loved.
They're still there.
Just a second, guys.
Just a couple hellos here. We got one from Loretta. Hello, Loretta.
Hey, Loretta, how's it going?
Nice to see you on. And one from Nicole saying that she loved the split shift.
And that's the one where you start at the beginning, get like a dinner break, and then you come back to close?
Yeah,
Yeah, the dinner beer break.
Yeah. It was a great one, except if you'd been drinking the night before, it sucked.
Yeah.
Like, in all honesty, everybody drunk the night before. So it was
Exactly.
more like, you'd be like, okay, what time are you on? Oh, 9. Okay, I can't go to bed later than 6:30. I'd be like, okay, I got you all got to get out of my cabin at 6:30. Like, oh, okay, 7, you're eating breakfast. Go, man, I better go back and get changed and grab an hour's sleep. And then you get up and oh my God, then you go and deal, and all you hope is nobody would come in. Or you'd be on something like, I don't want to deal. Just put me on like roulette. There'll be stupid things where they're playing like 3 corners a spin. I just don't put me on blackjack.
Or throw me on the craps table so we could practice.
Oh yeah, or then you'd wait until like the 3 hours whatever it was until like 2, so you could go back to bed. It's like okay, I gotta go back to bed. I'm dying. So then you go back to bed, and then then you'd wake up, miss like the dinner, and I'd be like, oh my God, so many times I'd eat breakfast once, that was it, and the sleep nap coordination was never in line.
Yeah, because sometimes the sleep took preference over the food. Yeah. Oh man, I remember when we had, your roommate would be working the day shift and you'd be working the night shift, and everybody in the cabin, and your roommate would be like, well, I just go sleep, and he'd be sleeping on the top bunk, and we'd be drinking down below.
That's hilarious. So I've been waiting for a while here. We're almost like getting close to an hour, but we haven't seen these photos that you kind of brought up, John. And it's some young John photos here that I definitely want to see, and maybe you can explain what's going on in some of these. Did you want to bring them up, John?
Okay, no, you bring them up. I can't find them.
Oh, okay. So. All right, so here's the first one.
Okay. There's the hat. I still have it. If I was a betting man, I would bet that isn't my first beer.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
It's not.
That's awesome. This is a really nice picture here of. Well, that's a nice group.
Yeah. So, that was in the cabinet. So, see that the hat I'm wearing, the fez, I bought that in Morocco, and because I have this weird thing with hats, I always buy them. Oh, and my wife there, she's wearing the Russian hat. I still have both of those hats actually. And anyway, so that fez I wore out into the red light district in Hamburg, and Hamburg is a crazy, crazy place. So much fun. That hat went where no hat should ever go ever. So, yeah. Oh my. But yeah, that was
a podcast.
I remember.
Yeah, that was a great bunch of guys.
It's so funny. This photo is hilarious if you actually look at it. Like that one guy just flipping everyone off, and the guy who's like sleeping.
That sounds right. I got another one here. Oh, this is a little collage here. I like the getup, John, in the picture on the right there. So.
Oh, me and Trev. Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know whether. I think some of them are in Glasgow.
Yeah, that could be Barcelona too, maybe.
Yeah, it could be Barcelona.
By the port there, maybe. I don't remember.
That's awesome.
It's crazy.
And then here's the one that you kind of submit. It's a little fuzzy, but
look at that rugby shirt, eh? Wow, got that in Scotland. I still got that shirt, actually.
So that one on the right, they did like a crew tour for us to go to into Dublin, and so we all went out, and everybody just got so drunk. It was like the girl on the left, she was a dancer. She didn't even work in the casino. So everyone who just went on there, we went to all the bars in in Dublin. It was so much fun. And then we had to go back, and some of us had to work. Most of us, just got drunk and had a laugh.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And just one more. I saved this one. This is a nice bro shot, I think. If it is, look at that.
Yeah.
Where is
That's
this?
Where is that?
I think that's in Portugal.
Beautiful.
I think you might be right.
Yeah, I think that's in Portugal.
At the time on the
Lisbon.
ships, there was a certain level you could have your haircut. Remember, Trev? It was like a number 2. So you couldn't have it below a certain length. And I'd lost my hair in a bet in like 96 or something. And I just kind of like kept it shaved. And that was as long as it ever got in like 20 odd years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, like, did you say like you couldn't go bald, John?
No.
Like, oh,
A fr-
that's
So here's the story. A friend of mine, his name's Richie. I knew him from Cardiff. He was this young guy. He was so much fun. Anyway, we're on the Rhapsody. We're in one cabin party, and we're talking about this other guy who's in another cabin party in a casino. And he's like, oh, I'm going to go and con him, and I'm going to go and shave his head. And he had this really nice hair. And we're like, oh yeah, go do it. So he took, I think, my clippers, and he went there. And they were talking to this guy, and he's like, "Oh yeah, come on! I'll shave my hair because he had lots of hair too." He goes, "You shave your head, and I'll shave mine." And the guy's like, "Oh, you go first." So I was like, "Okay." So he plugged the clippers in, and it went poof right down the middle of his head. Because we're all drunk, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was. He didn't put the guard on the clippers, so he just had this inch-wide gap right down the middle of his head, and like his hair's gone completely. And so then he comes back to my cabin, and the casino manager, because we're still partying, the casino manager is in my cabin drunk with me. So we hear like a knock on the door, and we're like, what was this? So we open at the door, and then Richie walks in, and it's just full head of hair, but it's like 1 inch stripe down the middle of his head. And he's like, I think I messed up. and he got fired. He got sent home the next day.
Wow.
Yeah. Richie got fired, man. It was crazy. I Richie and the branch, like the casino manager, were like really tight. They were really good friends. You're like, man, you can't have your hair that short. And it was weird. Like anybody else on the ship could have no hair, but in the casino we had like a number 2, whatever it was, the clippers. Yeah, Richie got fired and sent home.
You should have shown him. You should have shown him the comb over.
It was so funny, like right down the middle of his head, trying to go, okay, I'll do it first. He went, boom, right down.
Should have got him some gel and did a mohawk.
just do one of those, like, just brush it like that.
That's a style. I see it, and what I was saying, and when I saw those pictures, how it's such a small industry, and in one of the last pictures there, you had Andy Sellers in one of those pictures. And he was my first supervisor when I went on the ships on the adventure. He was my first supervisor.
When did you go on the ships?
I went in 2002.
Jaylee, when did you go?
I think it was 2001. I think that's when 9/11 was. I was on the ships for 9/11 too. So we were coming back from Hawaii, I think.
Yeah. Did you do? How long did you guys do? How many contracts?
Oh, go Mike.
I did 3 years. I ended up doing 5 contracts.
Yeah.
I was going to do 3, but I ended up doing 1 because I ended up. It's a long story. I ended up in Grand Prairie, but I was lucky just because I got to do. What was that, Trevor?
I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh no!
I ended up in Grand Prairie. I got lucky.
Let's just save that. I did the 1, but we were lucky because we ended up from like Alaska, and then we did all these repositioning cruises in the 1 contract. I ended up in South America. It took me 39 hours to get home. But it was an adventure for me. I loved it, and I was gonna go back on the Sovereign, but I didn't end up doing it. So I just did the 1. Yeah.
So you only one contract?
Just 1, yeah. And it was on the Mercury. It was a Celebrity, and that was that was it. So a little regret, but
I was gonna say. So now that you're the one and done guy. Do you wish you would have done 1 more or 2 more?
Yeah, I planned on doing 3, and I knew like I got the contract for Sovereign too, so I was like ready to go back, and it didn't happen. There's a lot behind that, but by the time I wanted to go back, I was pretty committed to the city. So I was here in Edmonton. Yeah. It was yeah. But still, no, like, you know, everything happens for a reason. And I think that if I didn't, I probably wouldn't have been a games manager with Mike like 15 years later, right? So yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
If I only did one, I would have still had some brain cells left, I think. It's
Yeah, exactly. Did you guys both work for Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines as well?
Yeah, I was Celebrity. Yeah.
You're a Celebrity, same thing.
Yeah.
Back those days, they bought them already, so they're the same.
Yeah.
To be honest, I didn't think I was going to do longer than one contract with Royal Caribbean, because in my first 3 cruises, I had two written warnings and a verbal warning in 3 cruises. I was like, I'm not going to last. I was like, oh, well, just go, I'll just go out and, a fiery ball of flames.
Yeah. Wait, speaking of flames, oh man, I did, I can't believe the stuff I got away with either, man. I mean, I got in before I don't know if it was before I broke my arm in Nassau or afterwards, but we got gunned, and we were playing craps in a casino in what's the island there in Nassau, the big casino on it.
Oh, Paradise Island?
Paradise.
Which one?
Paradise.
Yeah, Paradise. So we were gambling there, and we were getting just wrecked, and there was a whole bunch of us, and we were on a roll on the craps table. We were doing really well, and I remember I must have made, I think I made like $1,200 that night, right? Like it was, and back then that's U.S. cash, it's pretty good, and I remember we're on a roll, and everybody was like, "We gotta go, we're gonna miss a ship, and I was like, No, yeah, I'll get there, and we're just gone. I should have left with them, but I finally leave the craps, and I'm like, oh, everybody's gone. I guess I better go. So I find myself a cab ride out somewhere, and I get back to the ship, and of course the ship's waiting for me. I'm the last guy to get on. My first written warning, and I get on the ship. All I remember is I got back to the ship. I got on. The captain was like, the staff captain's like, yeah, we'll talk tomorrow. Go to your room. I got to my room, passed out, woke up, and I was like, I know I made money last night. I don't know where it went. So I lost $1,200. That was a really expensive cab ride. And then I met with the staff captain the next day, and he's like, don't let it happen again. Give me my card back. So that wasn't so bad, but it was pretty crazy.
Wow.
So what was your favorite casino or ship you worked for then?
Pardon me?
Which was your favorite casino / ship to work for?
I would say, if of the ships that I worked on, I would say probably the Nordic Empress. That was probably, the first one was a Splendor of the Seas. It was with John. We did 3 months in the Caribbean, 3 months in Europe. As of seeing the world, that was the best ship I ever worked on. And then as for the coolest ship I think I worked on was the Nordic Empress, because it was tiny. It was so small. It was like one of the smaller class ships, the Empress class, and I remember it was all the ships have a queen kind of thing, or a commemorative person for the ship.
Yeah, the maid, or
yeah, I can't remember what they call it, but the one for the Nordic Empress was Gloria Stefan. And so she came on a cruise on the Nordic Empress. So I got to deal her blackjack, and she she bet her whole $5 and played. Her and her husband Emilio played a few hands each, and we got to talk with them, and then being staff, we get to go up on the pool deck and stuff. So we were able to go up top, and I ended up sitting smoking cigars with all our kids.
Nice.
So, kind of cool, you get to do that. And on that ship we had that's the one we had the 3-berth cabin in it. I mean, you know, you guys have been on the ships, you know how it is, right? So here I am. This is a guy that likes to cook. So here's my setup. You'll love this. I got a 3-berth cabin. We didn't have a third person in the cabin. The top, so we both have bottom bunks, right? And then the third bunk is a top bunk, and I bought we had a Christmas party, and somebody won a monster stereo, right? Back in the day, 5 CD player, big speakers, and all the bells and whistles, right? Back in the the 90s, it was like, wow, that's a great stereo. Now you can get the same volume on a Alexa, so we get this guy wins his big stereo. He finishes his contract like a month later, so I buy it off him for, I don't know, a couple $100. And back in the old days, none of the cabins had fridges on them when you got them, right? So you actually had to buy them. So when I was on my first ship, I had to buy a fridge, a little fridge to get on the ship for us to have one in our room. And then when I got on the Nordic Empress, I had to buy one. Well, I ended up buying 2 for some reason, and I had one for beer and one for food. And then
Smart.
we had the 3-berth cabin, so you have 3 closets, right? To this day, I still don't know how I did it, but we had 3 closets. So I turned the middle closet. I built shelves in it, and I had a pantry. I had soup and bread, and I had everything. So, and then I bought because we went. I'm not sure we went to St. Martin a lot. So, and that's Dutch Island, so you can buy everything, like all appliances and stuff, really easy to buy. So I went and bought a single burner stove. I bought a sandwich maker again, and a hot pot. I think it was like a hot pot.
Holy.
And so I could cook just about anything. So my Christmas dinner was grilled pork chops and mushroom sauce with roasted potatoes and some kind of vegetable. I think asparagus spears that I bought. So I made myself this awesome Christmas dinner. And New Year's dinner, I made myself filet mignon.
Wow.
Spaghetti and stuff. So and we had. I remember we had. You have cabin inspections all the time. I don't know how, but they never ever opened that third cab. Not one time did they open it up and go, look at all this food in here. So we had an inspection, and the staff captain came into my room, and the only thing he saw that he gave me shit for is that because I'm cooking in there, I was. You didn't want the smoke detector to go off on a cruise ship, right? So I take my beer cozy and I stuck it over the smoke detector, and he comes in, looks around, pulls the beer cozy off, and goes, "You can't put that on there." And laughed. I was like, sweet. So he left. I put it back on, and we're good to go. But we used to take one of the speakers and put it in. So on the Nordic Empress, we had a main corridor, but we had the I-95, and we had the. We were in a berth of cabins with. There was 4 cabins. And we had a firewall in between the I-95. So when you went into our cabin, you had to go into the firewall first, open those doors, and then we had 4 cabins in there. So that whole hallway and those 4 cabins became party central. There wasn't a party that we didn't have in that area because that's where everybody hung out because we could be the loudest. We put the speaker on one end and we blared music all the way down it. And it was just crazy, like crazy how much we did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time. That was probably one of the craziest ones we did because it was just party central all the time, but really fun.
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah. I miss those things. I miss the cabin parties, the all-nighters, the beer, the pot noodles, blowing them off here for some pizza, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I remember that's where I got introduced to a French press because some artsy fartsy musicians like, yeah, you got to try this coffee. Of course, it was great because it was better than the syrup coffee you got in the bar. I was like, yeah, I'm going out. I went and bought one. It was like, sweet, go down, get hot water, fill her up, press my coffee, have some great coffee. Yeah, it was fun. But we used to have some crazy times. I mean, I don't know. I could tell you. I mean, it's like John. I could go on for hours. I got so many stories.
Yep.
But I think, to be honest, I mean, like, that's one of the reasons I probably stayed in casinos for so long, right? It was so much fun, and I met so many great people in casinos, right? Like on land-based casinos, and obviously there was some people I'm like, I don't like you, but for the most part, most of the people I met, I really had a great time with, right? And especially on ships, because you really like, there's like, if you piss off this small group of people, there's no one else, there's no one else really to hang out with, right? So
yeah. I mean, we had lots of fun. When I worked in Lethbridge when I first started working. I mean, it was a small group of people too. And I mean, I met some of my best buds there. I mean, I still hang out with lots of them too. I have, I mean, you guys all worked for Pure and all that stuff, right? So one of my buddies is Terry Dennis. I don't know if you guys know him. He was the general manager in Lethbridge up until I guess about 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So he was general manager in Lethbridge for a number of years, and he was part of the Canadian Poker Tour. He was an announcer for them, and he was doing the videos when we had the Canadian Poker Tour on TV, doing casinos like that. So he retired from the casino, went into the Poker Tour, and then came back and went to that. So anyway, I met lots of guys, and then he used to. When I started in the casino industry, I was 18 years old. So from 18 to about 24, I think, is when I went to the cruise ships. We did lots. We did, Klondike. Like back in the day when you had the charity casinos, you had to go everywhere you could go to work. So we would go. You do Klondike days because everything would be shut down. So you do Klondike days, Stampede Klondike days, and come back and we would do move up days in Lethbridge, and then casinos in between. So and I used to laugh, and we used to do Medicine Hat as well because they used to have a casino. So we got to meet people in Medicine Hat, and we would go. I would go stay with people in Medicine Hat, and I would just crash at their house because they were going to come crash at my house next week, right? When we did the next one. Always a tight unit in the casino industry for sure. And then I remember, at the time I am 18, probably 20 years old, but I still live at home with my parents, and we used to come home. Finish the casino at 2:00 in the morning. Like, what are we gonna do? Well, let's go somewhere and let's do something. So it'd be like, oh, let's go to my place. Go play poker. So sure enough, at 2:00 in the morning, 2:30 in the morning, we'd head over to my place. We get up, we get in the house, we go downstairs, set up the table, and my mom would come down in her bathrobe. Like she'd be having to work the next day or whatever, right? But she'd come out down her bathroom. Oh, you're home? Yeah, I'm home. Okay, good. Well, that's good. I'd be like, want a drink? Okay, I can have one before I go back to bed. I would have a beer or a drink or a rum or whatever. She'd have a drink with us, and then we'd be all playing cards and playing poker and losing our money or winning some money. And my mom would have one drink, and then she'd mosey on back upstairs and go back to bed. And then we'd finish off, 6:00 in the morning, and then everybody would try to struggle to get home, and then because we'd have to be back at work at between usually at sometimes it was at noon, sometimes it was at 2, but yeah, it was good times. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm just wondering, Trevor, because you've been in the industry, you were in the industry for quite a while. I don't know the last time you've actually been in a casino, if you ever seen it, like the last time you've actually gone into Casino Lethbridge or whatnot. But did you notice like a change, like a big shift in like the industry from when you started?
I noticed it when I came back from. So after I left in 2003. So I came down and I opened up a restaurant. I took a leave of absence from the casino. I never thought I'd ever leave the casino, to be honest with you. I thought that was my career. I was going to do it for the rest of my life, in some shape or form. So I went back. I took a leave of absence to open up a restaurant and a lounge. It was my buddy Don, who worked in the industry as well for many years. He was the general casino manager, a games manager at Baccarat for many years. and we left. We left, and he says, "Come down and help me open it up." So I come down, I help him open up. I spend my first 2 weeks there, and then I said to the company, I said, "Oh, I'll take a leave of absence. I'll take my month leave of absence." So I took my month leave of absence. Then after my month, I said, "Yeah, I'm done. I'm going to stay here." I guess he talked me into running the bar for him. So long story short, I did a little bit of time in the restaurants with him. I knew I couldn't do it forever. It was just not for me. So I ended up getting it. I ran my own business for 2 years. Actually, I ran it. I had my own business that got me out of the casino and restaurant industry. It was a vending machine company, and I ended up running it for up until this year, till COVID. I finally said, "No, we're done." So I shut it down, and but it got me into. I work for a company called Ecolab now. So guess where I get to go? I go into the casino to service them all the time. So I know all the general managers. I go and hang out. And most of the people that I work with, some of them are still there. I mean, I still talk to some of the games managers, pit bosses, and casino dealers that I dealt with when I was there. The biggest thing I noticed with the casino industry and you guys, when I watched one of your other videos you touched base on, is that it's really, I really feel disappointed when we learned how to deal back in the day. It was really big on skill set. Like you needed to be a good dealer. You needed to learn how to deal. You didn't get to learn 15 games in 10 days. You got to learn one game, and you dealt that for 1, 2, maybe 3 years, and then you get to learn another game, and you'd learn roulette, and you'd have to be selected, and everything was a selection thing, right? So you really had to excel at what you did in order to become the next, to get the next game or the next thing, and that just doesn't happen anymore. And I mean, I watch people all the time, like, is this? I hardly ever play in a live casino anymore because it's so slow for me. I'm like, dude, I want to play blackjack here. Like, why is this taking so long? Like, what happened to 6-minute shoes? Like, we used to pump these things out. Like, what? Why am I so slow? Why is this game boring? And so you get frustrated. You go, I'll go play a slot machine. It's easier. I can go as fast as I want. And that's where the industry has went. When I started in the casino industry, there was no slot machines. Mm-hmm. There was none. And we tore up. We set up and tore down casinos all the time to go in different locations, but people always came. But you had to know how to deal cards, right? You had to know how to have skills, and that's where I find that there's not the same. And it's there's a few out there that excel, but I mean, I know you guys probably remember. You might remember Dougie Durr.
Yeah.
We used to do Klondike days. I mean, I watched Dougie race Ali Farian, chip racing on a roulette table, right? Like, back in the day, we used to do those games and we used to play things, and the strive was to be the best, not to collect paychecks. That was secondary. It was to be the best dealer you could be, and I just don't see that anymore. I mean, and I go down to Vegas lots too. I don't see it down there, and it's a lot of that industry. Just like, it's not the same. Like, I mean, on dice, you guys remember? I mean, on dice, it's about being fast, fun, and having a laugh. And like, the last time I played craps, was like, you guys don't do any calls? Like, no. 7 out. 3 crap 3. Like, that just happened. It's like, and I just remember in my head, I'm here. I'm like, I'm calling all the calls while they're rolling, right? And I'm going, oh man, this sucks. I just, where's all the good stuff? I don't know. There's no ethics or no pride, I guess, in the way it happens to me. You guys feel the same way?
Oh. Danny, how do you feel about this? Because you're the unicorn. Well, Danny is an all games dealer, and someone that actually prides in the skill and the art. So.
I do, and I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I'm a little biased because myself, but like, I was selected for almost all the games to be done because I did put in the time. I did put in the effort. I wasn't just dealing just for the money, just to get in the time. I enjoy the job that I do. And maybe that's where like you see like the struggle is like a lot of people are in it just for the paycheck.
Yeah.
And of course I love the paycheck, but I love my job and I love the customers and I love the art of it. So for me, it's like I understand your side, but I'm, as Jay calls me, the unicorn, I guess. Like,
Well, absolutely. But I will give you. I can say this too, though. I agree totally that there are always somebody out there that will try to be the best at what they do, and that comes from work ethic, and that comes from being, you're just born with it. You can say what it is, but you're just born with it. You understand that, and so there's always a few diamonds that always, will shine for sure. Obviously, you must be one of them because
yeah, and I understand your frustration too about the slow dealing because I pit boss sometimes as well, and I struggle sometimes just watching like.
I shouldn't have to, as a boxman. I shouldn't fall asleep.
Yeah.
Just call me when you roll the dice again. How much?
No, this is really like I always have something. I have a lot to say about this because the games themselves have evolved over the years, and I remember like when you and I started, it was $2 blackjack. There was no surrender, right?
Right.
Yeah,
so you could
down the game,
right? Remember Baccarat? So we had mini Bach, and like there was a couple of girls, like I think they were sisters. I don't know if they were twins, but they were downtown, and I remember them dealing. It was the fastest game of mini Bach I've ever seen, and they were by far in my mind like the best dealers I've ever seen on Baccarat. But now look what we have. We have handheld Baccarat, and it's a lot of like catering to the players. Even roulette is like, yeah, it sucks because players are like, no, I'm not done betting. Nobody knows how to bet. When I talked with my brother, he told me back in the day, it's like the last payout is out, you're pushing it out, and that ball's pretty much spun.
Yeah.
You gotta balance it. You want to get them to get as much of their money out there because the more trips they bet, the more obviously you can make more money, right? Yeah. But I mean, it's a fine line between it for sure. But the game has to be exciting for everybody, and that's why. And like one of the other podcasts I watched, you guys put all that that blackjack felt up and it has 17 side bets on it. You're like, yeah, that's got to be fun to deal because I mean, so here's where the casino, in my opinion, no offense to Danielle, but I think that the dealing styles and the dealing, the finesse and the skill set has dropped so much. The casinos don't get the same amount of hands-in per hour. So they go, well, how can we make more money? Well, let's put 40 more side bets on it because that way we can make more money. Yeah, but you just slowed the game down again. So people that play these, they don't realize that people that that's why there's so many slot machines because people that play games like actually play live casino, they do like it to be quick. There's nothing worse than sitting on a poker table and having 3 hands an hour. Like I don't want to be on because I'm going to throw half my hands away anyway. So I throw the first 2 away and I just go, well, I'm not going to get to play another one this hour. So so I'll just sit out of this one.
My number one criticism that I get from players is that I'm too fast.
Perfect.
For real though, like it's like I'm dealing fast. I make like rarely any mistakes, and I just get told slow down. Like I don't I announce their hands. I do everything right, and they're still like I didn't get to count how much I have, and I'm like I told you how much you have. It's crazy because as you have like conflicting players sometimes on the same table. Some players want you to go fast, some players want you to go slow, and it's like I'm the dealer. I'll go at a pace that I feel is comfortable for everybody, and you kind of have to change based on who you're dealing to. It's industry, you have to adapt to every table.
And the thing is that because the way the industry has gone, all these people that play now don't know how to play properly.
Sure.
They're all figuring they're going to play the slow game, and they, because of the dealers, because nobody pushes the game anymore, like yourself, but nobody makes the game go faster. Everybody starts to get lazy and stagnant. So players don't know how to play properly. Because if you're on a table with, like for example, let's say me, John, Jay Lee, and Mike sat at your table, you'd be able to deal a 5-minute shoot like that because we're all ready to play. We don't want to sit around and watch you deal. We don't want to see you shuffle. We don't want to see you play with chips. We want to play blackjack or we want to play roulette. There's a.
I'm pretty sure after 5 minutes, Trevor, Jay, and Mike would walk off after playing blackjack with me for one shoot.
Yes, you're right.
That's true. That's true.
Because John would be like,
I can split, right?
fours, split them, oh, and then double down. Split them again.
Oh man, yeah, Danny. See, it's like you just got like the crap end of the industry because of everything that happened 20 years ago and this whole evolution. And I say to John's point, everything that we've kind of talked about, we've covered in previous episodes. But like John said before, dealers don't get paid enough, and it's true. So then when they don't get paid enough, all the other like industries, like like Costco will catch up, Safeway catches up, and then all your nice university, all the young kids, the smart people that want a deal, that would have wanted to, they have like a better chance of just working a day shift and not working weekends, sacrificing that time. So why would I want to work in the casino if I'm young? So now, as a casino operator, it's like, oh, we have to grab whoever we can, get this guy off the street. Does this person speak English? And it's just like, we're going to take anybody and everybody. So then when we talk about like communication, we talk about like training and whatnot, everything kind of just gets, first off, the casinos are oversaturated, and now we don't have enough staff. So now the skill level is just, like it's gone down, right?
Absolutely. And the problem was, one of the other problems is because you're teaching, the person that's teaching you now has gotten to the teaching point before they learn how to deal. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times, some of these casinos, they've been here for 4 years and they've learned 8 games, but they're not proficient in any of them. They're only proficient in, they just have a basic understanding of them. So then they start teaching, and they don't teach all the stuff that they should teach because they don't know it themselves. There's a lot of things that you need to do. How long have you been dealing for, Danielle?
4 years.
Damn. Okay, all those ones have been dealing for 2 years.
There we go. No, but like I said, like it has a lot to do with the fact that like I practiced at my house as well. Like it wasn't just when I'm there. That's like it. When I was at home, I was thinking, how can I do better? And that's not what a lot of people are. So when people look at me and they're like, oh, you're only 4 years in, how can you actually be good at all the games that you deal? It has a lot to do with the fact that I sat there like practicing at home, practicing chip handling, practice doing my presses for craps. I practiced dealing, like I taught myself tiles. And now like I'm like one of the best tile dealers in our casino. And it's
because you wanted it. And that's cool because that's the way it should be.
Mm-hmm. But there's a big stigma around it for sure.
What's that?
Like there's definitely like everybody like looks at me and they're just like, oh, you're only 4 years in. You probably suck at everything. I'm like, no, just come play with me. Okay, we'll see.
I'll make a trip up. I'll come watch you.
Yeah, come play.
If you ever get to deal again.
Don't say that.
So talking about like Jay said about dealers, I watched this. Jay, know that video you shared with me, like this the other day about the guy you're talking about? Maybe we could get him to come on, and he talked about there was a dealer somewhere in Vegas who was 90.
Nice.
A craps dealer that was 90. Like, oh my God! To be honest, after I retire, when I get into my 80s, I would die to go onto the deal in a crap table. I'd be the rudest person ever. I'd be slower. It'd be amazing. Can you imagine being retired? It'd be like, but 90, I wouldn't even remember. Like the dice would go out, they'd land. I'd be like, why am I here?
Why am I here?
Exactly. Who am I? Why are all these people in my bedroom? Do you know what I mean? It'd be so,
I would definitely go out. I would definitely go. Like, I mean, I always laugh. I mean, and that's how the casino industry is as well. Like, I mean, you think about it. Here you go. You have a skill set. I mean, I renewed my number after I quit the casino. I think I renewed my number twice.
Oh, really?
So, yeah, I renewed it thinking, oh, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna do it again. And then I finally I said, yeah, But I mean, I always know that I could always go back and do it if I wanted to. So. If there's ever a time where, coronavirus hits the industry again and the casinos are the only thing that are open, I'm good. I'll go back to casinos.
All right, guys. That's it for me today. I got a daughter to take care of, but it was nice chatting with you, Trevor. Man, awesome. It's such a small world.
Yeah, I know, dude.
When this is over, we're gonna have to have a seat at Danny's table.
Absolutely. I think it'd be fun.
All right,
gonna go home broke though.
Yeah, probably. Don't deal too fast, Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Deal too fast, deal too slow. Hear it all.
Yeah.
We're old and can't see.
I basically only deal peg out now, anyways.
So. Peg out is.
Yes.
All right, guys.
Tables.
Take care, everybody.
All right. See you, Mike.
See you guys. Oh, I already said to Trevor, I said, at some point when all this, this stuff is over, the COVID stuff, restrictions, and blah, 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 there's going to be a casino reunion or we're all going to meet up in some place somewhere. And I already said to Trevor, I said, man, I love Trevor. He's one of my favorite people I've ever met, to be honest. And he's going to come up and we'll meet him in person because I can't wait.
Yeah, or I always said, ever since I left the casino and the cruise ships and stuff like that, I always said to myself, I said, if I could just win that Lotto Max once, I'd hire a cruise ship and bring all the people that I work with on the cruise ships and the casinos and be like, let's go. And we can just go have one big I think it's great. It's such a laugh to fly everybody in and have one big cruise.
That's so cool. I'm waiting. Yeah, John.
No, see, Trev, see how quick it goes? We've been on for an hour and a half, buddy.
I knew it would.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, it always amazes me. I mean, every time we do this, and it doesn't matter who that comes on, it always just seems to flow by. And because, just to be the shared connections we have. I mean, I've known you forever anyway. So, but the fact that we can get to, to hang out and talk and stuff like that, it's been so much fun. I really enjoyed it. And Danny, it's so awesome that you talked a lot more this time.
What?
No, you were awesome this time.
Well, I mean, Danny's pretty passionate about the games, right? That's why.
Yeah.
Which is, I know, and it shows, and it's awesome.
Yeah, it's great.
So yeah, sorry, Danny, who's gonna teach the next poker class over there in Calgary, right?
Yeah, I have no idea. We have we went a while with without a poker manager, and then we got a new one, but there was two people teaching, one French guy who doesn't work there anymore, and this guy named Matt, and he's really good, so wouldn't surprise me if he was teaching. They taught me, so.
Are you in Casino Calgary?
Yeah, I'm at Pure Casino Calgary.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I used to work there too.
Yeah. Yeah, ABS. Yeah, that's what it used to be called. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was the president of the union.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
I bet that didn't make you popular.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, that, John.
That's a long story. You can start again for that one.
Yeah, that cut off your promotional prospects at the knees.
Yeah. Well, quick one is that I was a boxman and I didn't want to be part of the union because I was I thought boxman. I mean, the next step is a pit manager. So I mean, why am I in the union? I'm management. I have to discipline and coach and do all that kind of stuff, right? And so they said, "Oh no, you're the only one that's going to go. So that's where it stops at you." And I was like, "Oh great, so I get to be part of the union. Great." I didn't want to be part of the union, but I had no choice. So
you got voted in.
Well, what happened was I said, well, if I'm going to be, if we're going to have the union, I might as well be part of it. So it was a gong show. Just a quick story. So they tell everybody goes, you should be the vice president because we got a president. You should be the vice president. So I was like, sure, I'll go to be a vice president. So all the peers that are supposed to vote for me, that told me to be the vice president, said, yeah, they ended up voting in another guy, and they go, but we want you to be the master of arms now. And I was like, so you guys all told me you wanted me to be the vice president. You asked me you nominated me, you got me in there, and then you decided to tell me that I'm not going to be the vice president. So I was like, okay, fine. And I should have at that time just said, see ya, but I didn't. And I said, okay, I'll be the master of arms. So the guy that gets to be the vice president, he's an old union guy, and he went around and pissed everybody off. 1 month he lasted, he was fired. So he's gone. So no more vice president. So they go, now you can be vice president. I was like, okay. So I get to be vice president. Not even 6 months later, I'm the president. And we're doing the collective agreement and all that bullshit. And I didn't get to become the president until after the first collective agreement was done. And I just shook my head because I was like, we did all this work to get 50 cents and pay $1 in union fees. Well, that was a great idea. So we got 50 cents and paid $1 an hour for union fees. It was like, great deal. And then all the casino dealers, when we strike, all the casino dealers from Lethbridge and Edmonton came down the deal. And we're like, we're trying to get more money, and everybody that is not getting more money comes down to walk the line and say, like, whatever. There wasn't any. Some people weren't as smart when it comes to unions. And I mean, I'm not a union guy, but I mean, if you want it to work, you can't cross the line. You got to shut it down, right? A lot of the casino dealers from Lethbridge that I knew, they're all my friends because all the ones in Lethbridge and Edmonton I'd already worked with. So they all came down, they crossed the line, worked. And, the first collective agreement was a little bit more money. But the funny part is that Heinz gave everybody the same deal anyway on all the casinos. But back then, that's how it was. I mean, you didn't make a lot of money to be a dealer. So they went and decided to get a union there. Crazy. Is the union still there?
Yes.
And is it still the only one in Canada or in Alberta that has a union?
I don't know.
Oh no, that's right. I think Bachar or somebody.
Yeah, because it used. Well, I know when Palace. I left before they were going through the negotiations. Palace was trying to get it, and then UFCW, not UFCW, maybe
It is.
UFC. They have the UFC union. These big guys.
Yeah, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know if it's still there with Starlight. I don't know, but I know then I'd left before the union were trying to come in at the time, and then I left before they actually came in. And it was weird. I remember I got a call about a year or so after I'd left the Palace Casino, and they were like, "Oh, John, come to the casino and collect your check." I'm like, "What for?" They're like, "Oh, everybody got $250." I was like, "Well, what for?" They said, "Oh, because one person in the casino was told not to wear take off a union pin," and I was like, "That wasn't me. I wasn't even there." They said, "Oh, it doesn't matter. Everybody's going to get paid." So I had to go there, and I had to pick up. I was like, "I'll be there." So I went to West End to pick up this check for $250. It was the weirdest thing ever. I was like, "All right, free money. Okay, shall I spend it?"
I bet it went to some beer.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It didn't last the night. That's for sure.
Well, it's we've kind of gone over a little bit
Starting.
with the edit. Yeah, with the edit, we'll probably get down to an hour and a half. But Trevor, any shout outs? Anybody you want to say hi to in the industry or out in casino industry Canada?
Man, in casino industry in Canada. I mean, like I said, it was kind of cool seeing Nikki Starr on there again and Nicolette. Man, I don't know. I mean, it's just there's so many people I could, Peter Wong. I remember, he's a great guy back in the days, and Dougie Durr, and yeah, I mean, I'd love to see most of these guys all again. I mean, most of them are too old, but yeah, it's it's a longevity place. I mean, you can like with Nikki Starr there, you can be in this industry for a lot of years if you want. I mean, I still got people in Lethbridge that have been, I was in there 15, so they're 30, 35 years in the industry, and they're still there. They're still going. I mean, and you just shake your head going, wow, I can't believe it. I mean, it's crazy. But it definitely brought me full circle to what I do now and from what I do then, because I mean it definitely taught me a lot of stuff, that's for sure. It gave me a lot of opportunities, that's for sure. With customer service and all that kind of stuff, it's good.
That's awesome. John, are you still there?
Oh yeah, I still. You know, I was just. It was weirdly enough because, like, you know, I never wear the hat, and I was like, oh, like Jay wearing the hat, Danny always wears a hat, and then I was like, shall I put my hat on? That's older than Danny. I was like, no, I won't put it on. I look sad in it anyway, but anyway, so it was my drunken hat.
It's funny.
But they all come with stories. Every hat I have has a story, which is part of the fun, right?
Oh yeah.
All right, John, you want to close?
Oh, for sure. Trevor, I mean, you're one of my favorite people. You know that. And it's been so great to catch up with you. And I loved when we lived together on the ships and, you know, and catching up today and seeing these pictures and hearing the stories. It's been so much fun. So, and to be honest, it's one of the reasons why I like doing this every week is just to kind of catch up with different people and to hear stories of different things and stuff. And, you know, and to hang out with like Jay and Danny and Mike for like 9 minutes before he goes to bed. And just have some fun. And I think, I don't know, you know, how many people watch it, but I think, to be honest, I think this is a bit of a distraction for some people. And it's a good way for them to kind of like take their mind off COVID and all the other shit that's happening outside. Right. So thanks for coming on. I've really enjoyed it. And I can't wait to see you again.
Yeah, sounds good, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, guys. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Have a great evening.
See you guys.
See you later.